peace so as not to serve the interests of the Kinshasa government. The announcement came on the eve of a second round of talks with the Kinshasa government. The United Nations has sounded alarm bells on the humanitarian situation in the province of Sudan called South Kordofan. The UN says that up to 900,000 people could be at risk of dying of hunger. They have been caught up in the fighting between the Khartoum government troops and rebels close to rival South Sudan. Humanitarian aid groups are calling on the UN to do what it can so that relief aid can reach the starving people. United States Ambassador to the UN, Susan Rice, called on Sudan and South Sudan to hold emergency talks. Prime Minister of Turkey, Tayyip Erdogan, is on a tour of Africa. Arriving in Niamey, Niger, he was welcomed by President Mahamadou Issoufou. The program of the visit includes working meetings and the signing of business accords. They are in the fields of health, water engineering, and education. Prime Minister Erdogan will then go on to Senegal and returns to Turkey on January 11th. There has been another elephant massacre in Kenya. A family of 11 elephants, including a 2-month-old baby, was killed by poachers. Their bullet-riddled huge bodies were found in Tsavo National Park in southwest Kenya. Their valuable horns had been hacked off. Very strong demand for elephant ivory products in Asia has led to a major hike in poaching of elephants in Africa, now at its highest level in more than 10 years.
The Speaker of the Venezuelan Parliament has confirmed that President Hugo Chavez will miss his inauguration, which was scheduled for Thursday. The ceremony has now been postponed as President Chavez recovers from multiple surgery in Cuba. And harsh winter conditions have affected much of the Middle East. Turkey, Israel, and Jordan are experiencing severe snowfall. We have details of those stories and others in this roundup report.
Venezuela's President Hugo Chavez will not be present for his inauguration Thursday. The Speaker of the National Assembly announced it would take place at a later date. After 4 operations for cancer, President Hugo Chavez's doctors recommended that he continues treatment in Cuba. President Chavez's mandate expires on the 10th of January. The opposition is calling on the Supreme Court to decide if the government's move to postpone the inauguration is constitutional. In Northern Ireland, the British flag is hoisted over the City Hall in the capital, Belfast, once again. The flag is being flown for the birthday of Prince William's wife, Catherine, who's 31. The flag's reappearance is seen as appeasement to angry Protestant loyalists who protested every night since December the 3rd, when City Hall announced it would no longer fly the flag all year round. The damage caused by the wave of protests since December has amounted to close to £4 million, with 100 arrests. The Middle East has been hit with abnormal weather conditions for the past 4 days. There is snow, strong winds in Turkey, Syria, Lebanon and Israel. 9 people have been killed and dozens have disappeared. Jordan, which is mostly desert, has been struck with torrential rains, making the lives of 60,000 Syrian refugees in the Zaatari camp even more difficult. The United Nations is now moving the refugees to another location. In an unusual visit, the chairman of the internet site Google is visiting North Korea. Eric Schmidt's so-called private visit is raising questions, since most North Koreans are the most isolated and censored people on earth. Officially, Eric Schmidt is visiting North Korea to plead for the release of a U.S. citizen awaiting trial for alleged crimes against the state. Access to full-blown internet is for the super elite in North Korea, a maximum of 1,000 people.
Simmering tensions between India and Pakistan shot a new high over what India says took place in a disputed region of Kashmir on Tuesday. India's Foreign Secretary summoned the Pakistani High Commissioner and launched a strong protest. New Delhi says Pakistani troops crossed into Indian-controlled Kashmir and killed 2 soldiers. We have details in this report.
India accused Pakistan of launching a cross-border attack on Tuesday in the disputed territory of Kashmir. 2 Indian soldiers were killed and one of them, according to Indian authorities, was beheaded. The announcement has caused outrage in India, sparking angry protests. Pakistan denies the accusation, saying that India is trying to deflect attention from the killing on Sunday of a Pakistani soldier in the same area.
One of our units was patrolling the border when it came under attack. The shooting originated from across the border in Pakistan. The exchange of fire lasted for about an hour and a half, and 2 of our soldiers were killed.
Despite the violence, the border remains open. On Wednesday, traffic in Kashmir was normal. New Delhi and Islamabad are both keen to avoid an escalation of tensions.
We cannot and must not allow for an escalation of a very unwholesome event that has taken place. And I hope that message has gone home.
The foreign minister said that Tuesday's attack was an attempt to derail the dialogue, which had been resumed following the break in diplomatic relations as a result of the 2008 terrorist attack in Mumbai, in which 166 people were killed.
Well, from that, we now shift our attention to the weather report courtesy of the Central Forecast Office.
The source assures us of a continuous flow, and from there, everything follows. And for those of us who know what the River Gambia stands for, understanding its sustainability in all aspects of life is easily confirmed. The River Gambia provides nutritious delicacies as food, while it provides its wildlife a balanced ecosystem. This river, as a sanctuary, is committed to its inhabitants' needs without season. And as you travel along, all these values are replicated in one company, Elton, just like the River Gambia, leads in its commitment to values that matter most. Elton, championing the vision for a new generation.
Hello there, wonderful viewers. Welcome to the weather segment. We experience a warm, sunny and slightly hazy atmosphere across the country. And to know what prevailed over the rest of Africa, we take a look at the satellite picture indicating dust haze over the north and the Sahel areas, whilst over the south some convective clouds are developing in the area. For the forecast tonight, we'll be expecting a cool, dry and slightly hazy atmosphere to prevail over the entire country onwards morning, whilst the day tomorrow we'll be expecting a warm afternoon to prevail over the entire country. Winds will vary between north and northeasterlies in orientation, and they will be light to moderate in speed. Morning temperatures will vary between 16 and 13 degrees Celsius, whilst afternoon temperatures will vary between 32 and 33 degrees Celsius. For those going to sea, we'll be expecting a low tide of 0.32 meters at 2:15 a.m. and also 0.16 meters at 2:28 p.m. For the high tide, we'll be expecting 1.59 meters at 8:27 a.m. and also 1.85 meters at 9:05 p.m. Wave heights will vary between 1 to 2 meters high, and they will be mainly northeasterly swells. The sun will rise at 7:34 and will set at 18:52. Thanks for the pleasure of your company, and do enjoy the rest of.
Well, from that, a reminder of our top stories before we go. Government has issued a press release condemning any attempt to interfere in the internal affairs of the country, especially those dealing with implementation of domestic laws enacted and accepted by the Gambian people and passed by its legislature. Dr. Ndiogo Elba has returned to his old job as Secretary General and Minister for Presidential Affairs as Mustafa Charles Kamara, and his deputy, Madi Ojabta, moves to the Foreign Ministry as Permanent Secretary. The United Nations is warning of a worsening humanitarian crisis in Sudan's South Kordofan region, where starvation is stalking a staggering 900,000 people. And nuclear-armed neighbors India and Pakistan have been trading accusations and counter-accusations following a fresh outbreak of deadly cross-border raids in Indian-controlled Kashmir. Well, that's all in this edition of the news. Thanks for your time and have a very good night.